Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Here we are, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here, Charlie Usen producing the show. Other side of the glass. It's going to be a fun show today. Brewers Astros making a deal. We're going to talk with Patrick Creighton, Sports Radio 610 in Houston. We've had him on previously. He'll join us coming up at 3 o'clock, so 1 hour from right now. Then in the 4 o'clock hour, John Heyman, MLB Network Insider, will join us coming up at 4:20. So, Patrick Creighton, Sports Radio 610 in Houston at 3. John Heyman, MLB Network Insider, coming up at 4:20. So, loving the guest lineup for today. Between now and then, we got Packers, multiple Packer things. We got some Badger basketball stuff with Greg Gard. Brewers, we got a Bucks topic in the 3 o'clock hour. So, all over the board, Bucks, Brewers, Packers, and Badgers. We'll start off with the Milwaukee Brewers. And as was reported earlier today, Brewers making a trade for pitchers Lance McCullers Jr. and Colton Gordon. And everybody was like, man, you better not be giving up a really good player in all this. Now, Colton Gordon, you have control of him for 6 years. As far as options go, you can shuttle him back and forth between here and Nashville this year and next year before he runs out of his minor league options. Okay? So you can play the game that they love to play back and forth. Colton Gordon has had a cup of coffee this year, briefly, and last year. Nothing substantial. In the times he's been here, he should have pitched in the home run derby on Monday night because, baby, it is not good. But if you dive into his minor league numbers down at AAA for the last 3 years, you'll see ERAs of like 3.3, 3.4, 3.5. Not bad at all. Pretty good. Now, again, that park in Houston could be home run haven. So we also have to remember that. That's also part of it. But either way, you're going to take both of these gentlemen and give them to Chris Hook and see what happens. Now, McCullers has been hurt nonstop for about the last 4 years. Okay. He's missed multiple full seasons. And every time he comes back last year and this year, he gets hurt right away and then goes out again. He's had a couple of rehab assignments. I believe his third and final rehab assignment, if the Brewers choose to keep him, will be coming up on Friday night at Corpus Christi. Was supposed to be at Corpus Christi for Houston. I don't know where the Brewers will put him. But his final rehab assignment should be on Friday night if the Brewers choose to keep him. Now, this is the thing. You're going, well, what do you mean if they choose to keep him? First of all, they got a lot of dudes already, okay? McCullers has like a 5 ERA last year and a 5 or 6 ERA this year. Neither of which are very good at this point. Was Lance McCullers really good back in the day prior to all these injuries happening? Yeah, he was. At 3-something ERA, he was good. He was one of the better pitchers on that Astros World Series team. So he was good. Could he get back to that point again? I mean, he's lost velocity like Woodruff. Same thing, right? He's lost like 3 miles an hour, I think, from like 94 to 91. So there's that. There's the financial aspect of things. So he's on a major, big-time contract. He's in the last year of his deal. The Brewers, if they were to pay all of it, which they're not going to, but if they were to pay all of it, would owe him like $7 million for the rest of the year. And then he's a walk. Bye-bye. Enjoy free agency. Good luck to you. We're out. So I'm imagining how this worked was the Brewers have injuries or fatigue, however you want to call Harrison and Mizorowski. And then Woodruff, obviously. So they could use a couple of arms. So I think potentially of like, hey man, I got to free up some money here so we stay under this luxury tax apron. And I want to be able to add a player or two. Can you do a brother a solid and take Lance McCullers for me? And then Matt Arnold said, how much is he owed? Like $7 million. $7 million. okay, tell you what, you're going to give me an arm that I want with him, and you're still going to pay a little bit of it. Then I'll do the deal, and I ain't giving you squat because odds are that dude ain't going to pitch much anyhow the second half of the year. So I'm really only getting this guy. Plus, I got to pay, my owner's got to pay this guy. Again, that probably won't pitch much. And the Astros said, deal. Who do you want? Right? Back end of the guys. Again, the question I have is relatively simple. I think I know the answer. I do. But y'all surprise me from time to time. So maybe I don't know the answer. Do you trust every move the Brewers make under Matt Arnold? Are we there? Are we there to the point to say, I don't know what's going on, but I have no reason to doubt the man, right? I've doubted the man before and had egg all over my face. And I ain't gonna do it again. Are you there of trusting everything he does? Or were you somebody online just livid that the Brewers were trading for Lance McCullers and scared to death the Brewers were going to give up the farm or something stupid for Lance McCullers? Because there were some that were livid and mad at the Brewers. What are we doing? Why do we want him for? Oh, my God, look at his contract. People were mad. I'm just curious where you are. Now, I've said before that I can never get to that point myself. I just can't. Because when you say that I'm going to trust everything that a GM does for a professional sports team that you're a fan of, right? Brewers, Badgers, Bucks, because the Badgers do have a GM now. Brewers, Badgers, Bucks, Packers, Brewers. When you say that, then you now essentially said, I'm not going to have an opinion on anything going forward. I just want to see what happens. That ain't me. I've got an opinion on everything in life. Charlie will tell you that. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You're very well opinionated.
My kids will tell you that. Everybody in my life will tell you that. My parents will tell you that. I have an opinion on everything for the most part. Get into politics, then I'm out for the most part. I don't really go diving in and reading and watching politics necessarily. But outside of that realm, I'm pretty much will have an opinion on everything. So to the answer to that question, do you trust every move the Brewers make under Matt Arnold? My answer is no. And I love Matt Arnold. Comes on with me all the time. This ain't nothing about Matt Arnold. This is just me as an individual. I can't get there. If you say, yes, Sparky, I'm in. I don't question anything anymore. Kind of like it was in Ted We Trust for a long time, prior to Rodgers getting hurt. And then everybody realized really what that roster was. But prior to that, it was in Ted We Trust. Everything he does, man, all we do is win division titles and so forth, and went to a Super Bowl, and everything is great. And then it changed. Are you there with Matt Arnold? Nicolay Law Talk, text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250 on the socials. You can hang out with us there too at WI Sports Radio on X, Instagram Live, YouTube at WI Sports Radio. Like and subscribe, please. We're over 4,000 subscribers nowadays, over 4,100 subscribers. I'd like to get to 5,000 maybe by the end of the year. That would be good. I mean, that's a long time to ask for like 800 more subscribers. I think we can get to 5,000.
I feel like we've been on a pretty steady climb recently.
We have. Yeah, last month or so, we've really been moving along. So check us out on YouTube, live streaming there. Shorts are always posted. We always post a short every night as well. Go back, check all that stuff out again on YouTube. And then, of course, on the Fan Milwaukee Facebook page, where we've been getting some traction there as well with live streaming with Wisconsin Sports Daily. Check us out there too. Charlie, have you reached the point where you no longer question Brewers trades with Matt Arnold?
I feel like as a fan, you should always question trades. You should always be willing to dive into why the team wanted to make this move. That doesn't mean you have to be negative or super critical of what that trade is, but I think you should also be curious about, again, why your organization wanted to do this. And I think because of that, yes, I am always still going to question Matt Arnold and try to figure out what the plan is for this team. But he always also doesn't lead me to be critical. Like every time I see a Matt Arnold move, I'm willing to give it its time and see what can happen. And even if it doesn't work out, it's always under the contract of not much being given up. Like Dallas Keuchel, that was just a random kind of move last season that nobody really saw coming. It was worth a shot. He ended up not working out, but nobody really complained because he was worth nothing, and they just got rid of him. I think you can say the same thing about guys like Nestor Cortez when you make that type of trade, because the rest of the moves still ended up, the team ended up being fine. He made other moves in that offseason that ended up working out really well too. Caleb Durbin ended up working out
with Nestor in that deal, and that got you Harrison and Drawn.
Exactly. Like, he figures it out. So yes, I'm going to always question these moves, but I also don't think I'm going to be very critical of these moves initially. Yes, maybe over time you become critical of them, but right now I think I'm willing to see how it plays out every time Matt Arnold makes a move.
I'm looking at the Nicolay Law talking text line. This Phil guy of yours at Raised Grain that you work with.
Yep.
Is he a sarcastic one?
Yes. Yeah.
So I should not take this seriously. He texted in and said, I trust Matt Arnold as much as I trusted Derek Turnbow to close the game.
Derek Turnbow was awesome, man.
He
My
was
favorite bobblehead I've ever owned.
His wife wouldn't allow that in their house.
It was dumb. It's so cool. I would have hundreds of those if I was Derek Turnbow.
I had her on the radio with me. That's not allowed in my house. That is horrible. She would never allow it in her house. She hated it.
You guys don't know what we're talking about. It had like real hair on it.
No,
it was awesome.
What kind of hair was it? The whole thing was very weird to begin with. I don't know. No idea. 414, I just tuned in. Are you saying that the Brewers didn't give anything away? I am saying that, according to reports, the Brewers gave cash considerations to get two pitchers in Colton Gordon, who they have 6 years of control with, and has minor league options for this year and next year, so they can shuttle them back and forth like they like to do this season and all of next season. And Lance McCullers Jr., who was good like 5 years ago, but can't stay healthy. He has one more rehab assignment coming, and then he potentially could join the Brewers rotation. But according to all the reports that we've seen so far, if we see something else, we'll let you know. But the reports that we've seen so far coming from The Athletic is that it is cash considerations going back the other way. And the other part of this we don't know exactly yet that I've seen is that the Brewers are not going to have to pay all of the $7 million owed for Lance McCullers Jr. That Houston will pay some of that. How much, I don't know. But this appears to be a no-lose deal for the Milwaukee Brewers.
Randy in Greendale says, I would say I trust Arnold when I saw what we got. I didn't expect it to cost much of anything. It cost us nothing other than money. So that's it. Good move. Now I'll be extremely disappointed if that's the only move.
No.
It's not
going to be the only move.
You have so much left to be able to move, man. He's making these tiny little moves. There's big ones coming.
There has to be big ones coming.
About it. Yeah.
There has to be big ones coming. Let's go over to the Dugout YouTube chat over there. Jeff participating over there. What do you got on Jeff?
Jeff says, agree with you, Sparky.
Thank you.
I do not trust the moves Matt makes, but the bigger issue is the majority owner, Mark. I can only hope for a salary cap. Why? Because he will need to spend money.
Yeah, and I think that's part of it, right? Either a salary cap or a salary floor where he's got to spend $170 million or $180 million or whatever the salary floor would be out of the CBA. So, yeah, I'm all for that if we end up going that way. From the 414, I would say I trust Arnold when I saw what he got. I didn't expect it to cost much of anything, and it cost us nothing other than money. So that's it. Good move. Yeah, absolutely good move. No question about it. Let's see. What else do we got going on here? 414, nice. Worth a shot. Yeah, again, it doesn't cost you anything. I think it's a great deal. I just myself can't get to the point of not questioning or not looking at having my own opinion based on the players that you're getting versus giving up at the end of the day. That's all I'm saying. Trell, north side of Milwaukee. You're next on Wisconsin Sports Daily. What's up, Trell?
Hey, Sparky, how you doing?
You ain't calling in with a smile, Trell. What's wrong? You all right?
I got to be a little critical, Sparky.
Okay.
That's why.
All right.
I will give Matt Arnold his props on hitting it out the ballpark when it comes to low risk. And the reward may not be that great. So he nails it when he gets those players where he doesn't have to give up too much, and they usually pin out, especially when it's a pitcher because of the Brewers' mechanic system with the pitching coaches and all that. Great. My thing with Matt Arnold, and I got a question for you guys, is how do we really judge somebody when they don't give you something that you can say they really gave up too much, or they may not win this deal, or the player they traded for didn't turn out or pan out the way that they hoped for. There's never been that type of discussion with him.
No.
Because it's always, like, if this is the only move he does for the what's name, I mean, people probably, because we have come to a place where we really don't criticize the Brewers heavily like that, because we just expect them. We're always talking about they can't afford their low market, they're all this stuff. But the thing that's crazy is that the national media has been criticizing the Brewers and they're not going for it type of mentality more than the local media has. And I'm on the side of the national media here now, because I'm kind of getting tired of the same old excuse. Oh, Mark doesn't have it, and all of this, and we can't spend his money, and all of this. Do you want to win a World Series or not?
Period. That's it. That's all there is. Do you want to win a World Series or don't you? And if you do, then let's go. And if you don't, and that's not what it's about, and if we're being honest, it doesn't appear that's what it's about. But if that is what it's about, then go all in. I just, as I've said this before, and I'll say it again, he works with inside a business model like most of these guys do. He's not trying to make money, but he's also not trying to lose his tail end on a year-to-year basis. Now, I know what the response is from like Rami. You know how much money he's going to get when he goes to sell this franchise? So what if he loses money and this year or that year or another year? I understand, and I get that point of view. But remember, he also has a bunch of other owners that aren't worth as much as him, that are all in this together and making decisions for the most part. So there has to be everything considered. It's not just Cohen of the Mets running the whole show by himself and throwing money from everywhere in order to make things work.
I get that, Sparky, but at some point, I mean, we're going to keep on watching all these different eras of these young Brewers go by, and we're still going to be saying the same thing. And I'm telling you right now, I'm not going to be a quiet fan that says, oh, we're just happy to have a team that punches the ticket into the playoffs every year. At some point, it's got to be something that's a hunger for us as fans that we want more. So that's where I'm at with that.
All right. Sounds good. Appreciate it. Thanks so much for the call, Trell. When he says, I'm not going to be a quiet fan, what does that mean to you, Charlie?
That he's going to keep doing what Trell does. Call in, be vocal about his fandom to the different stations around the area. So is a
quiet fan a fan that's not active on social media, doesn't call in talk shows, and doesn't let his voice be heard?
But still goes and buys tickets,
will
still buy merch, do all the other stuff that fans do. But yeah, won't be as vocal.
That's the majority.
Yeah.
That's the majority of fans. The minority of fans, the smaller group, are the vocal ones. The ones that are on social media, the ones that are calling into talk shows, the ones that may be writing letters or sending emails to the Brewers. Those people are the smaller group. The majority doesn't get as wrapped up in all of this, isn't living and dying on every pitch of every game like Tim Allen does with the post-game show. That's the really, really small, hardcore minority. Those are the people that are going to be with this team even when they suck. They're still going to be watching the games. They're still going to be wanting to go to games to get tickets, and they're not going to leave them. The majority will be off this bandwagon as quickly as they got on it if this thing ever goes back downhill again on the Milwaukee Brewers. Let's go to Justin in Watertown. You're next on Wisconsin Sports Daily with me, Steve Sparky Pfeiffer. What's up, Justin?
What's up, bud? So, Arnold, I think I put him as number one for my GMs that I trust in the state of Wisconsin, ahead of Goody and obviously ahead of Horst. So I think I trust him, but like Charlie was saying, like, he's still a question. I mean, you're a fan. We're going to analyze everything to death and see, why did he do it? Should he have done it? Should he have not done it? So I'm not going to just be like, yay, hooray, they made a good decision every single time he makes a move. But I just want to talk a little bit more about what you guys were talking about. Like, I feel like at the end of every season, before the next season starts, Antanasio and the front office, they all get together, and basically Antanasio says, here's your budget for the regular season. Here's your budget if we want to make a move. Go over that. I have to approve it. And if you guys want to make trades, you have the green light to do whatever you want. And I think he's going to make trades that are going to keep them relevant. And if we remember, Antanasio last year said, my job is to give the fans an entertaining summer.
Correct.
Right?
And that's what he's done. He's done that pretty much every year he's been here. He does give them. He gave that to him last year too.
Right. And he's done his job.
Yep.
A World Series is a cherry on top, but I don't think he wants one, but he's not going to do everything he possibly can to do it because he is a businessman and it's about
and
business,
that's
right?
right.
But
And
at
that's
the same time,
and Justin, that's the difference, right? When the new Bucks owners got here from New York, what did they say at the opening press conference? We're here to win championships. And then they went diving into the luxury tax year after year after year, trying to get that accomplished and to get their championship ring. If Mark was the owner of the Bucks, that never, ever would have happened.
but at the same time, once they realized the penalties for being over that third apron too long, they really dialed it back, right? Because they didn't want to take those penalties. Whereas Golden State's like, I don't care.
Correct.
We're just going to keep spending money.
Yep.
Right? So there's a line for every business owner, no matter where that line is. My question is, does Antanasio ever take into consideration the money he would make if they made it to a World Series?
You know, it's interesting because if you go back, Justin, thanks for the call. I forgot what year it was. The Arizona Diamondbacks won the World Series. I think it was Council's year when he was there. They lost money. The owner came out and said, even after the playoff ticket sales and after we sold the merchandise, we still came up in the red at the end of that season, even after having won a World Series. Now, the owner wasn't mad about it, but just matter of factly said, if you go through and look, we still lost money at the end. So as a fan, you're like, there's no way you could lose money if you win a World Series because you're going to make it all back in attendance and merchandise sales and all the extra concession stand sales and everything else. But we have seen before in Major League Baseball where teams said they lost money even when they won a World Series.
Not every team is as lucky as the Milwaukee Brewers to really truly have a diehard fan base like they do. When the Brewers are bad, like you said, you're still going to have those diehard fans going to watch them. When the Miami Marlins are bad, that stadium is empty, like cleared out. It is insane how empty it is. That's why they get sold every 5 years too, because nobody wants to keep that up and try to stay competitive in a market where the fans don't really care about the team until they're World Series winners. And even then, like you said, they don't even buy in then.
Correct.
It's crazy.
Justin in North Carolina on the Nicolay Law Talk text line. Matt Arnold is doing a phenomenal job, and I trust him. What does all in mean? You throw all these prospects at a player, and then they bust. Then what? Continue to develop our guys and sprinkle in a guy or two, and I think we break through the ceiling, Justin in North Carolina.
All in is an in-the-moment thing. It's not like something you look back on and say, oh, that was all of a sudden a bad move. The Brewers go and give 3 big prospects for 1 or 2 major players. Like, that's all in now and later on. Like, that's an all-in move.
Yeah, you'll know. If Luis Pena goes, the number 2 prospect, if he goes in a deal, that's their all-in move. And you'll know. If Andrew Fisher or Madej go, that's their all-in move.
And it might end up being a bust if you go and get Tarek Skubal with 1 or 2 of those guys.
And he gets hurt.
Not pitching well.
Yep.
And those guys end up playing well. That was still an all-in move in the moment. You can't deny that.
Correct. From the 414, that's a bad take. I'll ask you and the fans clamoring for tangible evidence of going for it. The same thing I asked him last week. What's the point of trading for an asset just to prove you are all in? You don't just make a big splash move to make a big splash move. Moves are made if they make sense for the team, not the fan. Right. But this is the point. Is the team trying to win a World Series or be competitive every year and be around the postseason every year? That's what we're talking about. This team last year was the best team. Period. They were the best team, 97 wins. They were the team. And they got crushed by the Dodgers in the postseason like a grape. Now, you're going to go right back down this path again. They're on pace for 96, 97 wins right now. So you're going right back down the same path you were last year. So are you going to go right back into the grinder of the playoffs, potentially win your first playoff series? Maybe it's against the Cubs again. And then have to deal with the Dodgers again and have the same result. And if you do nothing, I do not want to hear complaints about salary cap and salaries and all this other stuff if you don't at least try to find somebody that can help put you over the top at this point. Because if we're going to continue to do this, good luck.
Like, when are we close enough? If you're going to ask, keep asking what all in is, then when the question back to you is, when are the Brewers close enough? Because they feel really damn close right now, man.
But what it is then, if you do it that way, which is to hell with it, I'm not going to make an all-in move. Okay, then you're going to have to hope for injuries. You're going to have to hope that the Dodgers get hurt, right? The team that you can't get over the hump and nobody else seemingly can't get over the hump on, gets hurt. They aren't as good. They get bounced by maybe Philly or the Braves or somebody before you get to them, and then you're able to knock out the team that's there instead of the Dodgers.
That's how
You'll have to have some luck.
That's how you want to look at a postseason run? That doesn't sound very fun when you could just add in a superstar player and raise your chances either or. Whether the Dodgers are healthy or not healthy, you can go and beat them with a Derek Skubal, or at least get closer to that point instead of just relying on Shohei Ohtani potentially not being in that series or something.
But this is a big but. Every postseason run has luck for the most part. NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL. Anytime you have a postseason run by a team, normally there is some luck associated. You got a break in a big situation in a game. They missed a call on you, or they made the wrong call on the other team that helped you. A guy's shoe size is a half size bigger, and it costs him, KD, right? Trae Young goes down when you lose Giannis. I mean, that's the type of stuff that sometimes you need to go in your favor in order to win a championship. Baseball coverage on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network is presented by Xfinity. Score the most reliable Wi-Fi, one price, 5 years, guaranteed. Xfinity. Imagine that. Coming up next, we're going to switch gears to the National Football League. Ryan Paganetti was on the Ross Tucker podcast, brought up some very interesting things concerning the National Football League, the directions it's going, and he really jumps into some offensive line conversation. He jumps into some fourth down situations that they've done in the past, and quarterback sneaks versus kicking field goals, all this really good stuff. We'll jump into all of that coming up straight ahead. Plus, we'll hear from Greg Gard in the last segment. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. All right, got the press release from the Brewers. Bad news. They did trade a player. So the Brewers have acquired right-handed pitcher Lance McCullers Jr., left-handed pitcher Colton Gordon, and cash to pay for McCullers' salary, or part of it at least, from the Astros for outfielder Jaden Fielder. So Prince Fielder's kid gone to the Astros. Carson Sabathia has been friends with Fielder since they were little, was all excited to potentially get to play with Fielder. CC was all pumped up to get to do it. And Maury Arnold said, yeah, get over it. He's gone. See ya, Jaden Fielder. Damn.
So Jaden Fielder signed with the Milwaukee Brewers in the offseason of 2024, has been with the team, has made it all the way up to single A Wilson, low A Wilson, the Warbirds there. With the Warbirds this season, he has a .233 batting average, a .415 on base, an .813 OPS overall, 3 home runs, 23 RBIs, and 10 stolen bases. So that's what the Brewers are losing out on.
To make room on the 40-man, Rob Z was transferred to the 60-day injured list. So there you go. So McCullers Jr., Colton Gordon here, Jaden Fielder gone to the Houston Astros farm system. Welcome to baseball. Dude, am I mad about that deal? No, I'm not mad about that.
That's
deal.
fine.
I'm fine with that deal.
That's about basically cash considerations.
Right.
In my mind.
Fielder wasn't drafted. They signed him after the fact. Nobody drafted him. So could Fielder turn out to be something and make the Brewers look bad in 5 years? Yeah, potentially he could. But in that 5 years, unless they trade Colton Gordon, he's still going to be under team control for the Brewers because they got him for 6 years of team control. So we'll see how this all plays out. This right here, this is when you make a trade, right? You make a trade for the now, not for the future, when you're in the position the Brewers are. So if Fielder turns out to be great, and these two, well, no faith in McCullers, but if Colton Gordon doesn't turn out to be a serviceable asset, I don't think he even has to be a starter. Even if he ends up being a bullpen guy for 5 years, I think that makes this a success.
Carlos Rodriguez or Tobias Myers, like that's what you need. Right. You need a guy who can just come up and fill a couple starts or fill a couple bullpen spots. Just a little bit. Like that's all you need from him. McCullers is the bigger upside guy. If you can get even a little bit out of him in this half season, that'd be awesome, man.
No question. I got another text coming in here from Rhino on the Nikolay Latok and text line talking about the whole all-in type deal move. He says, sure, but at what cost? The future is one ring worth a decade of bad baseball, or would you rather roll the dice with what you have and keep enjoying competitive summers for the next 10 years? Rhino, I'll take the World Series and a decade of being horrible. Done. Every day of the week. Every single day. I've been saying this for 20 years. I'm pretty sure Tim Allen says the same thing. And I'm pretty sure Tommy Woods has said the same thing. Like, everybody is in on, fine, we'll be horrible for a decade or whatever it ends up being. As long as I get to see a World Series champion in my lifetime, whatever comes after that, I'm fine with. Again, like I had brought up before, I watched 11 straight years of under 500 baseball. 11. 26 years of not being in the playoffs. Now, you want to call it the golden era of Brewers baseball or whatever, where they're just going to the playoffs every year, fine. But if this results in no World Series appearances and no World Series ring, yeah, it was fun, right? It was a good time. We got to talk about it. I got to be on the radio talking about them being good but not good enough. But it's still going to be disappointment. Brett Favre got one ring. That's disappointing. Aaron Rodgers got one ring. That's disappointing. Giannis got one ring. That's disappointing. That's 3 Hall of Famers that each got one ring. The Brewers have none right now. They don't have a single Hall of Famer as we sit here right now. Could Mizorowski become one? Maybe. Could Churio become one? Maybe. Could William Contreras? Maybe, but he ain't going to be here probably when it happens, when he takes that next step. So that's the thing. They might have Mizorowski, might be their Giannis at this point, but he pitches every 5th day.
So is Jackson Churio maybe your Giannis or Jesus Medeiros? Like they got so many options that could be Giannis.
Yes.
That's what's really cool.
You have a lot of could be maybes for sure. No question about that. Hey, did you know that any youth sports player can score a free small classic Frosty anytime they visit Wendy's in their sports uniform? That's right. Just stop by after practice or with your team after a game. Who doesn't love a small classic Frosty at Wendy's? You will make big points with your kids. If you say, hey, who wants a Frosty? They're in their little soccer uniforms or baseball uniforms or basketball uniforms or whatever. and you go over there and they get Frosties, man, mom and dad, you're the best. That's what that's going to be. Grandma, you're the best.
I think I'm going to throw on my old Little League uniform, see if I can get a free Frosty.
I just want pictures. If you put on your old Little League uniform, I just want to see how bad is it.
I don't think I'm going to be able to get it on.
You don't think it's going to fit?
I don't think I'm going to get it on. I was a big kid, but not as big as I am now.
Yeah. Okay, I will take a quick time out. I want to come back and talk about Ryan Pagnetti on the Ross Tucker podcast because Charlie was telling me all about it. He was listening to it, and I love me some Ross Tucker. I'm a big Ross Tucker guy. So we'll talk about that coming up next, and it really dives into some of the strings and trends in the NFL right now, and he brings up one of the trends, talking about offensive line health and so forth, and how that transfers over to being winning and so forth, gets into quarterback sneaks and field goals, lots of good stuff. We'll hear from Ryan Pagnetti coming up next. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Wisconsin Sports Daily, Sparky with you. Charlie Usen producing today's show. Still to come, we'll talk about the crew at 3 o'clock like normal. Patrick Creighton, Sports Radio 610 in Houston. We'll get the latest on the two pitchers the Brewers have acquired from the Astros in exchange for Jaden Fielder. Speaking of Jaden Fielder, Harry Doyle had a couple of things to say over there on the Dugout YouTube chat. What did Harry Doyle have to say?
Fielder is an infielder, not an outfielder.
Stop. Now listen to me. I don't normally am not going to correct people, but if you come at us and act like you're going to correct us, I welcome you correcting us. If you're wrong, however, then I'm going to point it out. And I went and I looked up Jaden Fielder. Jaden Fielder on the website says outfielder. So I said, well, maybe that's wrong. Maybe Harry Doyle is right. Mm-hmm. So I looked up the game log. Jaden Fielder at Wilson has played 12 games in left field, 31 games at DH, and he has played one game, not started, defensive replacement at Wilson at first base. Before that, in rookie ball, last year in 2025, he had 6 games at DH, 29 games in left field, and 12 at second base. Has not played second base since then. So I would say the website says outfielder. He's played a majority of his games at outfield, Harry. So I would say that that would qualify him as an outfielder.
And Harry also adds B is 21 and at low A. That is not promising.
Correct. And Junior Caminero was traded at what? 18 years old from Cleveland?
Tobias Myers.
For Tobias Myers. We talked about that yesterday. And he was in the Complex League, I believe.
Yes.
Or the Dominican Summer League even maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, he was way down there at 18 and nobody knew who the hell he was, really. He had good numbers, but he was 18. Who cares? Well, it worked out for Tampa.
Still turn out to be a stud.
Yes.
And also, at the same time, like I keep saying, the Brewers didn't lose a trade just because that guy ends up being a stud one day. Just like, I don't think Cleveland really ended up losing that trade overall. Like, yes, they didn't go and win a World Series, but how do you know what that guy's going to be at 18 in the Dominican Summer League? You give that a chance because you're getting a guy who could help you now for a guy that might not be able to help you for 3+ years.
And Tobias Myers never pitched in the major leagues for Cleveland after all that. Another one there on the Dugout YouTube chat at WI Sports Radio. Like, subscribe if you're checking us out.
Brenton says, I think Lance coming in here is mainly for the clubhouse and the young pitchers. They can lean on a 2-time World Series pitcher come playoff time. If we get anything out of him on the mound, great.
I don't know. That's what I want to find out when we have Patrick Creighton on at 3. I want to find out more about McCullers as far as, is he a leader? Is he a guy that puts the young guys under his wing? Obviously, he's been through injuries and away from the team quite a bit, it sounds like. So we'll get all of that from Patrick Creighton at 3. And then John Heyman, MLB Network insider, will join us at 4:20. We'll talk more about the Brewers and stuff he may be hearing as far as what the Brewers may be looking to do. And we'll talk about the Cubs, the Dodgers, the Braves, other teams in the NL competing for playoff spots with the Milwaukee Brewers and potentially the 1 seed with the Dodgers and the Brewers. All right, I'm going to turn the page here to some football because I want to get into this from the Ross Tucker podcast. Charlie, you were all over this, so I'll let you lead.
So Ryan Paganetti is a former, I think he still kind of does it, but more on a smaller basis than he used to, analyst for NFL teams. So he was a part of the Philadelphia Eagles, were a Super Bowl winning team, where he helped them kind of analyze how the trends in the NFL have changed over time, helped them kind of get up to date on things. And the Eagles are one of the most up-to-date teams. They're constantly changing their offense. They're doing things to kind of get ahead of the curve. One of the things he talked about, and this is something that was big with the Philadelphia Eagles as well, is the QB sneak usage skyrocketing across the NFL.
The league, is skyrocketed in usage of the sneaks. And I would still say for a number of teams, it's probably a little bit too low, but I think in 2016 there was less than 70 sneaks in the whole league, and this past year there was about 340. So directionally things are so dramatically higher, and I think a lot of that has to do with teams realizing, particularly when it's under a yard, that you have the advantage of the cadence, that even if it's a less favorable look, you can potentially use the players to push. I personally I think the way Buffalo has done it is maybe a little bit more translatable for other teams because they actually generally line up in somewhat real formations. So you kind of have to honor the formation to some degree, whether they have players split out wide or they are a single back look and whatnot, as opposed to the Philly strategy. A lot of teams have tried to duplicate and they didn't have the offensive line talent. They didn't have Jalen Hurts. And that one is just like it's like a war zone in there. It's 111 mosh pit. And so I think, the reception on that one has fizzled out a little bit at times. I'm really interested to see if Philly continues to utilize the play. They've obviously made some changes there, but, with the coordinator, and they made changes with Jeff Stelton leaving. Jeff Stelton was about as big of a proponent of the play as you could ever imagine.
This is the thing with the Green Bay Packers. Jordan Love is not a small dude, right? Now you have Sean Ryan in the middle, who's a mauler type guy. If Banks and Belton are your guard, those are both big physical dudes that can impose their will, or at least should be able to impose their will at that size, which means you should be able to utilize that quarterback sneak fairly effectively going forward if you so choose.
That's if you so choose. You have to make sure that Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur are comfortable going into that situation, though. I think Jalen Hurts is probably one of the strongest quarterbacks, if not the strongest quarterback in the NFL. I think he has the wherewithal to do that. And Sirianni is a psycho, so he's going to be willing to throw his quarterback out there. Same with Josh Allen, this extremely strong, big-bodied guy. Is Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love, are they going to be willing to go and put their bodies on the line? I know Jordan Love will, because he does it all the time. It's more Matt LaFleur that I'm wondering about there. Ryan brings up the offensive line being a huge part of the Philadelphia Eagles' success and the consistency on that offensive line. The other strength that the Eagles have in the offensive line is the depth and their ability to analyze that depth. This is Paganetti discussing teams across the NFL using Madden ratings to help them analyze that depth.
There's a number of teams that actually believe that the Madden ratings are somewhat useful in terms of another source to look at for player evaluation. And the ratings are just publicly available, and the fact that so many eyeballs are on the ratings for so long, like the ratings oftentimes are actually fairly reasonable, and they move a little bit on a week-to-week basis. So, if a rookie starts out early and he's struggling and he's playing better towards the end of the year, like his rating, is higher. But basically the idea being that, there's sort of a big picture personnel standpoint analysis that your offensive line is only as good as the weak link. So you could have Trent Williams and you can have Hall of Fame caliber players at, one or two spots. But if you have a guy that is a borderline practice squad backup in one of those roles, the other team is going to hunt that matchup. And so the uniqueness of the offensive line position is one of those five players losing their matchup is a loss for the entire group.
I think when you start talking about the offensive line and obviously the Green Bay Packers and how this whole thing plays out at the end of the day, you had some inexperience across that line last year because of Jenkins being out and Sean Ryan having to figure it out on the fly as they were going. Then you had Banks, who was hurt for the first half of last season. Zach Tom was playing hurt most of the season. He shouldn't have been out there probably half the games he played last year. So until they're fully healthy, you don't really know. I get the idea of if one guy screws up, it makes everybody look bad on the offensive line. I understand and I get that concept, but this team has to have a healthy offensive line first before we get to that point.
And I think Paganetti put it clearly in a tweet after this appearance with Ross Tucker. He says from 2023 to 2025, O-line 6 averaged 408 offensive player snaps per season. O-line 7 averaged 256. The backup unit in general for each team averaged about 1,008 snaps per team per year versus the 698 that wide receiver twos were averaging during that time. So this isn't just a problem for the Packers, though, and other teams are starting to figure it out. How can you figure it out, too?
It's crazy because when you start thinking about that second and third wide receiver and how important they are and how much you need them and so forth, you don't have the same opinion or emotion towards making sure we have a second and third backup offensive lineman that's going to have to come in there and play.
According to this, a third and a fourth and a fifth potentially too.
But you don't have that same type of deal. When you're in the draft and you're doing a draft show, you're like, oh boy, another offensive lineman. It'll be like 7 or 8. Who cares? But really, at the end of the day, you should care because a lot of these guys end up playing. And again, see the Packers last year. Coming up next, let's talk about the crew with Patrick Creighton, Sports Radio 610 in Houston. So we'll talk about the Brewers-Astros trade straight ahead. Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer with you.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Here we are, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here, Charlie Usen, other side of the glass. Welcome in. Hope you are well. Here on a Tuesday, Brewers and Astros doing business together before we get out of the All-Star break, and we need to talk about that some more with our guy, Patrick Creighton from Sports Radio 610 in Houston.
It's time to talk about the crew. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
The return visit of Patrick Creighton joining us now on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that is all. The official press release from the Brewers. Brewers have acquired right-hander Lance McCullers Jr., left-handed pitcher Colton Gordon, and cash from the Astros. They'll pay McCullers Jr.'s contract for outfielder Jaden Fielder, which is Prince Fielder's son. This dude used to run around the clubhouse back in the day at American Family Field. No longer a member of the Brewers. Follow Patrick Creighton on X at PCreighton1. Your thoughts, I guess, first, when you heard about this potential move coming, as it broke before we actually got the final details. I feel like the final details took forever to get out.
Yeah, the sometimes as information leaks forward, we get the big parts, we get the meat. We don't always necessarily get the sides.
Yep.
But the meat was the important thing here. And the Astros had a situation where they had a logjam of returning pitchers, and they didn't have enough guys on the major league roster with options to be able to accommodate everybody. So moves had to be made. And we've been saying for months the Astros were going to have a tough decision coming up with Lance McCullers Jr. Sparky, I will never say a bad word about Lance McCullers Jr. That guy is all heart. He's an absolute bulldog. He has worked his tail off time and time again to get back on the mound after suffering just major injury after major injury. And I will tell you that while I'm not a doctor, I only play one on radio and TV, that maybe the Astros staff didn't do the best by Lance McCullers Jr. after he had Tommy John surgery, when it was determined that he had a bone spur in his elbow. And instead of just having a quick procedure and getting rid of it, they had him rehab it. Now, Sparky, I know that you are certainly a doctor on both radio and television as well. Have you ever understood the concept of rehabbing a bone spur?
Nope, never heard of it.
Me neither.
No.
And what happened was that bone spur just kept ripping through his flexor tendon, which cost him over 2 years of his career. What Lance is today is still a mystery. When he came back last year, the velocity was way down. The command was off. The only two pitches he could throw were a curveball and a slider. And when there's no fastball or changeup to beat you, it's easy to sit on one. He got beat around last year, and he had he was on the IL a total of 4 times last year with various issues. But in spring training this year, the Astros kind of babied him, and they really protected him. And in his first start, he hit 94 miles an hour. Now, he threw 8 pitches in that start, but he hit 94 miles an hour, and he hadn't hit that in years. What's happened, as we've seen, is as he gets on regular work, he can't maintain the velocity.
Sounds like Brandon Woodruff. That's what it sounds like to me. And we've lost Brandon Woodruff probably for the rest of the year.
Yeah, and I tell you, man, I feel for Brandon Woodruff, man. If I have they announced what his other issue is? He didn't tear that shoulder capsule a second time, did he?
No, it's a different injury than what they happened the last time. They were going to get a second opinion, but they already moved him to the 60-day IL. So I don't see how he comes back. But we'll see.
That's a brutally tough injury, man. I'm certainly hoping for him because, growing up a Mets fan, I saw that with Johan Santana with 2 shoulder capsule injuries. Right. And we know where that goes. But for Lance, He can give you the velo for an inning or two, but then it starts to wane down. And I understand maybe the Brewers don't need him to pitch the entire season. Maybe they need him to give him, 5 or 6 starts. He's certainly a guy who has big game pedigree. He pitched Game 7 of the World Series, and he was badass. He has had a history of stepping up in big spots. He's not afraid. Main question is, how much have the injuries taken from what was once a magic right arm? And the Astros once upon a time thought this guy was going to be an anchor of their rotation for 5 to 8 years, and the injuries have really devastated his career. It's unfortunate because you won't meet a better guy than Lance McCullers Jr.
This is where I wanted to go with this. Patrick Creighton, Sports Radio 610 in Houston, joining us here on Wisconsin Sports Daily with me, Steve Sparky Pfeiffer. I wanted to get that aspect of it. I expect nothing from a production standpoint from Lance McCullers Jr. I don't think that's why they made this deal. I think they made the deal for the other pitcher. But having said that, the one thing about Brandon Woodruff has been consistent, which is good dude, will be a leader of the younger pitchers on the staff when he's sitting in the dugout when they're at home and talking to these guys and kind of being a mentor to these guys and helping these guys out from the dugout. When we talk about McCullers, how has he been? What is he like, when he's in that dugout and he's surrounded by younger guys and so forth? Is it, yeah, poor me, I'm hurt again. I got to go through rehab and everything else. And I'm really paying attention to the younger guys. Is he more of a leader and mentor for some of these younger guys? Because this Brewers pitching staff is super, super young. And they do not need some vet coming in here higher than mighty and not wanting to help the young guys.
He is a well-liked, well-respected member of the Astros locker room. A guy who is looked at for leadership. Really, and like I said, you're not going to get a better dude. Lance McCullers Jr. is all heart. And that's a guy who absolutely will help your young guys. He's going to share the things that he sees going on in real time with them. Just class A person.
Right.
And like I said, I hope that he's somehow able to find a little lightning in the bottle. Because like I said, I don't think there's an Astros fan worth their salt that doesn't have love for Lance McCullers Jr. And look, this isn't his choice. He didn't say, hey, I want out of here. We're going to root for him, pitcher from Milwaukee. We're going to hope that he does well because we all want Lance to do well.
All right, let's talk about the other pitcher involved in this trade, Colton Gordon, who I had for a start in fantasy baseball when I was streaming through and picked him up coming up from the minors this year and quickly got rid of him. He has been pretty much home run derby in his cup of coffee this year and his cup of coffee last year. But the minor league numbers don't show him as home run derby. His minor league numbers actually are pretty good the last couple of years at AAA.
He's a guy that's got to show he's more than a 4A pitcher. He has swing and miss stuff. He gets strikeouts. But like you said, he gives up homers. He gave up 6 homers and 9 1/3 this year.
Crazy.
And he gave up 21 homers in his, 86 innings or so last year, which, by the way, was tied for 3rd on the Astro staff last season because it was Hunter Brown, Framber Valdez, and this guy's hurt. Was pretty much their entire year last year. Not much different than this year. Go figure.
Right. Yeah.
So Gordon is a guy, I mean, look, he's durable. He's a workhorse, but he's got to show he can get guys out consistently in the major league level. Look, he doesn't make any money and he's got a ton of team control.
6 years. Yeah.
And I understand the concept of, hey, taking a flyer on a guy whose minor league numbers are great. And maybe the change of scenery does him good. And maybe the Brewers see something that they can tweak just a little bit because, look, Brewers are great with pitchers. So maybe they see something that just didn't work for him in Houston and they're able to tweak it. Maybe seeing new batters in a new league. Maybe all that helps. Again, you're not asking him to be a starter for you for 10 years. You're asking him to give you like 8-10 starts. So, can he give you that? Last year, he gave the Astros some good starts. He threw in some clunkers, but he gave the Astros some good starts, and he gave them innings at a time when they absolutely desperately needed the innings. So, again, I hope the best for him. He does have a lot to prove. But, he's a young kid who, well, maybe he's not that young. He's like 27 now. But the idea of, he's young as far as he's only been in the major leagues for a little over 2/3 of a season. So young career-wise. Can he find a little something from Milwaukee down the stretch this year? Certainly kind of a risk-free move for the Brewers to take.
Is he a high velo guy or no?
No, not a high velo guy. Very good. When he's going good command, good breaking stuff. He's a guy he's a pitcher as opposed to a guy who's going to come out there and throw real hard.
Yeah, and that's what the Brewers have a lot of, are guys that throw really hard for sure. That has kind of been the Brewers' mantra. So we'll see. Chris Hook, the pitching coach for the Brewers, has fixed, I should say, a lot of dudes that have come through here, and then they leave and they go back to being who they were after they leave Milwaukee. So whatever works here doesn't work anywhere else, apparently, when they leave. What about you all getting Prince Fielder's kid, Jaden Fielder? I would assume if both of these guys were guys that Astros fans are not going to miss, the idea of getting Prince Fielder's kid probably has to have some excitement level behind it.
I think there's an excitement level from, right? Like the Astros have Kevin Biggio at their AAA team.
Yep.
And obviously he's the son of Astros Hall of Famer Craig Biggio. And there's always a certain amount of sentimental love for Kevin Biggio, who's actually had a decent season at AAA. But the reality is he's never going to get a call up.
No,
he's an older guy. He's not a prospect anymore. He's an older guy. But, I think Jaden Fielder, I don't think that there's a whole lot of expectation for him. I saw that he was a guy who, went undrafted, and then the Brewers picked him up. And I don't know whether it was a favor sign or they looked at him and said, hey, this kid gets on base and he's athletic and he can run. We don't know what position he's going to play, but he might have a bat that plays. Let's give him a shot. The batting average is low. The on base is high. That flies with Astros fans right now because there's a lot of guys with low on bases on the Astros.
Right.
And I don't know that he'll ever pan out to anything, but it's a fun story. Kid with great baseball pedigree, and we'll hope the best for him.
And it's funny because the Brewers just drafted their last pick, CC Sabathia's kid, Carson Sabathia, in the draft. And Carson Sabathia and Jaden Fielder grew up together on the circuit, playing travel ball and everything else, and known each other forever. So they were super excited to finally maybe get to play together at some point in the Brewers farm system. And that didn't last very long. There you go, Jaden Fielder. See you later. Patrick, thanks so much for coming on, man. Truly do appreciate it. And I'm sure we'll talk again down the line when the Brewers make another trade with the Astros at some point.
Sparky, you let me on a second time. I appreciate you, brother. We'll talk soon.
It was fun. Take care. There he is, Patrick Creighton. Sports Radio 610 in Houston. Follow him on X at PCreighton1. That was good. I don't think I'm excited about either pitcher. However, listening to him, I don't think I'm like, oh boy, they got somebody. I listened to him and said, oh boy, they do not care that both of these guys are gone.
No. Well, but he seems like Lance McCullers is a good locker room guy that the locker room is going to miss. And it seems like the fan base, I think to some degree, likes the moments or has fond memories of the moments that he gave them pitching in Game 7 of the World Series. That's huge. Like, I don't know. It seems like they may miss him more than you're letting on. Well,
we'll find out. We'll see how much of an upgrade or help they give the Brewers. Again, Chris Hook is amazing. So if Chris Hook can get one of these guys going, could be a big deal for the Milwaukee Brewers. Brian and Stratton could be a big deal for you if you're looking for a college where you can excel in the classroom and on the field. At Brian Stratton College at Wauwatosa campus, you can compete in NJCAA Division II athletics, more than 20 men's and women's teams to choose from. It's a JUCO, right? Junior college. So you go there for 2 years. Keep playing the sport you love while earning your associate degree in business, healthcare, criminal justice, or digital marketing. Athletic scholarships are available for those who qualify. Visit bryanstratton.edu and discover how Bryant and Stratton College is built different for you. As we've talked about, they're looking for some track and field athletes right now going forward. So if you are listening around the beautiful state of Wisconsin, regardless of where you are, and you're like, hey, this may be a fit for my son or my daughter to go do this and be a part of that program. And then who knows, if you're pretty good, maybe you go from there and then you go to Division I for the last 2 years of your school. That is a thing that a lot of people do. There are some people that their kids are good enough to play low D1, and they're like, it would be a lot cheaper, and we can still get scholarship money, may not even cost that much, to go to the JUCO school for 2 years and then play at a higher D1 after they prove themselves at the JUCO. Brian and Stratton, man, that is where you should be sending your kids, and that's it in the state of Wisconsin. That's it. That's it. There is nobody else or any place else where you can go and they're a diamond down here in Wauwatosa in the southeastern part of the state. Think about it. Check them out today. BryantStratton.edu. BryantStratton.edu. Coming up next, remember those Miles Turner comments about Giannis being late and everybody having to wait and all this other stuff? Did those comments actually screw the Bucks more than we thought? We'll discuss that coming up next. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily. Steve Sparky Fiver, Charlie Usen over there, other side of the glass. England, Argentina playing right now. If you do not want to know the score, turn it down. Turn down your radio. England just scored. It's 1-0 England at the 61-minute mark of this match between England and Argentina, the semifinal. And the winner gets Spain after they knock off Mbappe and France yesterday.
Are you worried people are going to get mad at you for spoiling?
Yeah.
Like the score? Have people got mad at you for the World Cup before?
I don't know, but I feel like it's like the Olympics. Like you want to record it at home and then go back and watch it tonight because you're working.
I guess.
So that, I mean, for me, that if I was an Argentina or England fan, and if I had no days off, and I'm going to have to watch this, when I get home, I'm trying to avoid hearing the score the entire time.
Yeah, but everybody has phones nowadays where you're
what does that have to matter?
You're seeing the score. Most of those people, they don't have days off, but if you're sitting at your desk at work, you just put your phone off to the side. You got the game going a little bit while you're doing your work. Like people, I think people, if they wanted to watch the game right now, they're watching the game right now.
See, no, I've never done that. I'm proud to say I've never done that.
On the times.
I've never done that.
That's because your job has the TV right in front of you. You don't need your phone off. Well,
now it does. Now it does. It didn't before that. I just got the TV, but I don't have regular TV on that. I literally got that to stream the Brewers afternoon games when I'm in my office.
I mean, the one
so
in
I
the
can talk
right
about
now.
it when I come on.
You're watching a game all the time. Every time we're
right
on air
now.
Or something.
Yeah.
You always got that.
Right, it's part of my job. But I'm just saying, I've worked other jobs. I don't know. Either way. All right, let's talk about the Milwaukee Bucks. So Gary Wolfel of Wolfel's Press Box, used to be with the Racine Journal Times for a lot of years, put out a post yesterday on X that pretty much said, according to some of the league executives he's talking to and so forth at the NBA Summer League, that the Miles Turner comment about Giannis and so forth pretty much hurt the Bucks as far as what Miles Turner trade value may be, because now there's some skepticism as far as if Miles Turner would turn on their star on their team in the similar fashion, if he had something to say. So now apparently there might be some backlash here as far as the Bucks, who probably do want to move on from Miles Turner, from being able to go there. Also, in that same post, Wolfel pointed out that the Bucks are not shopping Miles Turner at this point, but they'll listen if somebody wants to talk about it. But they're not actively like, hey, we got to get rid of this dude. Who wants him? Come get him, right? They're not doing that, but they're listening. But there are some executives that are like, yeah, I don't know if I want to put him in my locker room. I don't know if I can trust him in my locker room. I don't know if the teammates would trust him after he flipped the script on Giannis like he did. I never thought that when he did that this would come back and potentially ruin stock for him when the Bucks were to trade him. So the question is this: how much would Miles Turner's Giannis comments change your opinion of him if you were running an NBA franchise? Like apparently it has from others. Nicolay Law Talk, text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. And of course, you can watch Wisconsin Sports Daily and the Growth Law video stream on Instagram Live, X, YouTube, like and subscribe on YouTube at WS Sports Radio, and of course on the Fan Milwaukee Facebook page as well. We've been growing in popularity over there. Injured growth gets it. Charlie, what say you?
If you forgot what Miles Turner had said, this is from the recognized game pod that Miles Turner does with Brianna Stewart, and he was discussing Doc never finding anybody.
We get fined for all types of stuff now. You guys get fined a lot?
It depends on the coach. So Doc Rivers, he didn't find anybody. Guys were late all the time. Guys were, showing up to film whenever they want to show up. Guys were missing meetings. Like, it was one of the craziest things I personally ever experienced. We literally, if the plane took off at 2:00, we weren't leaving until 4:30. I'm being so serious, bro. It was crazy, dog. Guys were an hour late to the plane. It got to the point where I knew not to show up until like an hour after they said the plane was taking off. It was crazy.
So who's the teammate that's most likely to be late? Well, all of yours, obviously, because nobody gets fined.
Giannis is going to show up whenever he wants, really. I think that it's kind of just came with the territory at that. And once I kind of saw what was going down, I was like, hey, man, more power to you. They ain't going to find you. Do what you do. Right. Except when we were going to Dallas. That's when I was like, all right, come on.
That was the last game of the year. That's what he's talking about. He wanted to get the hell on to his vacation and go home.
And he's from Dallas, yeah. So
yeah. This is the thing. There are a lot of dudes that talk out of school on their teams. far more now with the podcasts and the social media and all the sports talk shows, far more now than there ever was back in, say, the 70s or the 80s or anything like that. Back then, man, whatever happens in the locker room stays in the damn locker room. You ain't telling everybody your business about what's going on in there and how this is all rolling. You looked out for each other and protected each other. Nowadays, none of that appears to be a thing. All you youngins, Charlie, apparently don't give a damn about each other and are willing to throw everybody under the bus.
Well, and I think from Miles Turner's perspective, after thinking about this, and even when we played it, when it first happened, so this was May 14th, we played it on May 14th, and then 2 days later, it kind of blew up again. A lot of people were then calling out Miles Turner for saying anything about Giannis. I don't know. It doesn't sound that bad to me to the point where it would hurt his trade value across the league. I think his awful play from last season hurts his trade value a lot more. Brianna Store asked him the question. I don't think, he pointed out, it comes with the territory of being that superstar. This is something that I think people recognize, that the stars kind of get to do whatever they want. So yeah, Giannis probably tends to be the latest. And then they were talking about how he's getting massages all the time. He does all these other things to help him recoup himself after these games, and that's why he's late. And it doesn't seem like Miles Turner is mad about it in this clip either. He was just stating a fact.
Do you remember how that
Giannis
blew up?
It did.
That was a slam fest on Giannis after he said
played
it.
On May 14th, and I don't think either one of us really thought it was that crazy when we first played it. And then everybody else started freaking out about it. We're like, oh, is this going to be a bigger deal than it is? And I don't think it should be that big of a deal, especially when a lot of other stuff was coming out about Giannis and his camp and the way that he was treating this whole situation, that this should not have blown up as much as it did.
I went off about it. I remember exactly what I said. Dude, you're the leader of the team. You have to lead by example.
But you weren't mad at Miles Turner.
No, I wasn't mad at Miles Turner. I was mad at Giannis. So I was part of the go after Giannis deal for this whole thing. I wasn't mad at Miles Turner. I understood why people would be mad at Miles Turner for putting that out there. I was reacting to what he said. Now, what happened after that? Then you had some of the former NBA players who nobody cares about anymore, then coming out and defending Giannis and going, man, I played there, man. He wasn't late when I was there. I don't know what y'all talking about. So then you had guys sticking up for Giannis, regardless if it was true or not, trying to put Giannis into a better light with the general public, who are like, damn, that ain't how you portray yourself to us. If you're this diva dude that shows up super late for everything and everything
those guys
else,
played together. So yeah, you're talking about Giannis maybe from 5-10 years ago, which could be a different Giannis than the Giannis that was there last year that Miles Turner played with.
Yeah.
So also, yeah, you could all be right about what you're talking about. Things just change over time. And Giannis has talked about that too, that he's changed. His perspective on the league has changed. All these different things have changed for him. It might be different.
It's a lack of respect to your coaches, to your teammates, to everybody.
Did anybody have respect for each other on this team this year?
It does not sound like it. No, it does not. It doesn't sound like they respected Doc all that much.
Doesn't seem like Doc respected the team all that much.
No. You talk about keys to winning championships and so forth. What is it? It's chemistry is a big part of it, right? Now, you don't have to have great chemistry to win a championship. Reggie Jackson teams have won championships, and I've heard horror stories about how there used to be fights and everything else back in the day in some of those teams that Reggie Jackson was on. So they all clearly didn't like each other, but they still won.
Had his problems. Gilbert Arenas had his problem.
Yeah, but those weren't championship teams.
Yeah, but those were
just random dudes doing random crap.
Those guys aren't random dudes, 2K legends. Come on.
Right, but what I'm talking about is if you're trying to compete for a championship, you want everybody pulling the same way. And if you are, I don't even know who it would be. If you're Golden State and you're thinking of Miles Turner and your goal is to win with your senior citizen roster to try and go win a cup at this, or a championship at this point, not the stupid cup thing in the middle of the season. I misspoke.
Love it.
The championship at the end, if that's your goal, you don't want somebody in your locker room that potentially could turn on Steph or could turn on LeBron if he ends up there. Or Jimmy Butler, or whoever it may be.
LeBron, Steph, and Jimmy Butler shouldn't give him reason to turn on them. I don't know. That's the other side of things, too. At the same time as, yes, Miles Turner probably should keep his mouth shut. I also, I'll reiterate, I don't think he had ill intentions with saying this. I think he was just answering the question that was proposed to him, and that's what it ended up being. And I also think, Giannis, if you're going to be late, if you're going to be doing things that feels detrimental to the team from your teammates, then you have to expect that one of them might get mad enough about it or might feel comfortable enough about it because you do it often enough to say it on a podcast, because that's what everybody does nowadays.
Remember, Miles Turner came from Rick Carlisle, who is very strict on what he wants from his team and what he expects. One of the more stricter coaches in the NBA, and has been from all the way back to his time in Detroit. So he's been this way for a while. That's where he came from.
And
Miles
Turner says it. I've never been in a situation
right.
like this past year.
Then he comes to like the most lax coach in the NBA, apparently, in Doc Rivers. Nikolai Lautaka, text line 414-677-1250. He was able to, meaning Turner, was able to play with that knucklehead Halliburton, and he didn't say anything. He just needs to play better from the 414.
As much as you may dislike Tyrese Halliburton because you're a Bucks fan and he's annoying to the Bucks, he seems like a really good teammate. And I think that what he's built with that roster, they all bought into Tyrese Halliburton and Miles Turner as the leaders of that team. Yeah, he may be a knucklehead, but it doesn't seem hard to play with Tyrese Halliburton. It seems like it was pretty easy to work with him.
My headphones aren't working. I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, okay.
Rhino says, what if there's more to the story? What if Giannis was a diva and didn't have his guys back behind closed doors? Don't know. But if that was the case, then some of these other former teammates wouldn't be running to defend him against Miles Turner. That's my opinion. If that were the case. Like Holiday, never said a bad word about him. Middleton, to the best of my knowledge, never really said a bad word about him. Bobby Portis, I don't remember ever saying anything bad, and he's been on that damn Run It Back podcast for like 2 years.
Saying whatever he wants
to say, and he's never really gone after Giannis, and now Giannis took him to Miami for a pat on the butt. Way to protect me, buddy. I'll take you to South Beach with me. So there really isn't a track record here. Let's go back to Aaron Rodgers. You had Jermichael Finley mad at him. You had Greg Jennings mad at him. Like, there was more than one dude that had issues with Rodgers. The young guys talked about Rodgers in a negative light as well. The young receivers, when they were there, as far as how he treated them and how the whole thing worked. So, again, when you have a track record of several guys, teammates having issue, maybe there's some fire to that smoke coming from these guys. When there's one dude, that makes it a little bit more harder to understand. And there hasn't been any, to the best of my knowledge, sourcing or whatever else to go along with backing up what Miles Turner had to say.
And again, the other side is I don't think Miles Turner had ill intentions. He's talking about Doc Rivers in this clip for the most part. He's talking about Doc Rivers allowing this to happen. Right. He's never had a coach that's allowed this to happen in his locker room before. It's not about Giannis taking advantage of that. Yeah, that maybe frustrated him, but he doesn't even seem mad. It's not like the other players. It's not Jermichael Finley or Greg Jennings coming back talking about Aaron Rodgers. It's just him stating what was happening in that locker room. He's not mad. Like, it's okay.
Coming up next, it's Charlie's Sounds of the Day. Top 3 sounds from around the world of sports. You said we're going to do some Badgers here?
Yes, sir. Got a couple Greg Gard clips.
Some Greg Gard clips from practice at yesterday. That's coming up. Don't forget Potawatomi Sportsbook. Take those shuttles to and from Brewers home games the rest of the season. Plus, while you're there, 2,000 square foot center screen. Over 30 different sporting events you can watch at one time. 2 different levels of seating options. You can reserve your seats ahead of time. Goes a nominal fee goes towards your food and beverage costs for that day when you're there. So really, you were going to spend that money anyhow. So make sure to do that. And at the Potawatomi Sportsbook, you obviously can get over 40 different on-tap beer selections, over a dozen different specialty cocktail selections. You've got your all-day brunch, steak and egg bagels, whatever you want, pancakes, you name it, they've got it. Then you've got your hot dogs, your burgers, your wraps, your salads, all kinds of different options with chicken, whether it be tendies, wings. They have it all right there at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. For more information on everything I just talked about, check them out today at Potawatomi.com. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily. Steve Sparky, Pfeiffer, Charlie Using, other side of the glass. Here on a Wednesday, halfway through the work week already. Time's just flying along. I have a tweet I want to read on the air, if you don't mind, from yesterday.
Sure, go for it.
We're off the air already. And this guy, Matthew, tweets, because you had tweeted out the short from yesterday with me talking about you just don't sign a pitcher to a long-term deal if you're the Brewers at this point, right? Mm-hmm. And he tweets at me and he says, my friend and I are both avid 105.7 listeners in Milwaukee. He recently had a baby, was over there over the weekend and heard him call his son Sparky. I asked why, and he said, he cries and whines just like Sparky, so why not give him the nickname? So fitting, he said. And I replied back to it, ha, 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 I love it. And he's like, thanks for being a good sport, LOL.
Oh, that's perfect.
That's so funny. I thought it was like, I just died laughing. I was like, that's the funniest thing I've seen all day. You also feel free. If you got a baby, nickname him Sparky. I'm all about it.
Especially if they cry and whine a lot.
Yeah, whatever you need to do.
You got a big head.
You spit up. I don't really spit up as much, but maybe that would work. Yeah.
1, 2, 3. What sound clips will Chicago Charlie pick today for Sparky? Will Sparky become enraged? Will laughter ensue? It's time for Charlie's Sound of the Day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
All right, Charlie, I know we're going with Greg Gard, Badgers basketball coach at practice yesterday. What do we got?
Let's first hear Greg Gard's reaction to the Wisconsin Badgers hiring Sean Eichhorst as their new AD, somebody he has a close relationship with.
It's great to have him back. I thought just been knowing candidates and monitoring that from the sideline, it was a home run hire. I thought it was exactly who we needed at this point in time. The experience he has, the places he's been, what he's been exposed to, what he's seen, what he's had success with, and the fact that he's been here. I think that still is such a huge player, such an advantage having been here. And I thought all along he'd be 10 miles down the road before anybody else would here go. And he already is. He's been at donor events for us. He's been here at practice. He's met with a ton of people. He's just attacked at full steam ahead, which has been, a breath of fresh air. And immediately from day one, put wind in our sails. So I couldn't be more excited, more happy. And, you got a guy that's really got your back and understands what this is all about. And wants to attack it head on. So I'm fired up. And I know he's got the rest. I've talked about every other head coach. Everybody's through the roof on having him here. And Badger Nation should be too, because he's freaking good. And being from Wisconsin, having been here before, coming with a playbook full of things from other places that have had success. Like I said, I couldn't be happy.
Okay. So do we think he was talking about McIntosh while talking about Eichhorst? Breath of fresh air, glad to have somebody that's going to have your back. All of this stuff, I don't know. Maybe I'm being media guy here, but I felt like that whole thing was throwing some shade at Chris McIntosh while he was talking about Sean Eichhorst. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what it felt like.
That kind of just seems like the vibe out of Wisconsin in general, not even just from Greg Gard, but just overall from the university. It feels like a lot of people keep talking about this as a breath of fresh air,
yes,
a new start for this team, like a new freedom for these teams. Like this just feels like a whole new thing for Wisconsin, when really, like, I think the AD transition, especially when McIntosh chose to leave on his own, should be, I guess, a little quieter in my mind. And it doesn't seem like it's that way. It seems like it's more of a mutual parting of ways when McIntosh left than the Badgers being upset about him just ditching them.
Yeah, no doubt. This England goalie, man, I'm telling you what, dude, this cat here, man, is earning however much money he is making playing for this World Cup team, dude. He has made some saves in this game right here, man.
He looks beat.
He made some saves in this one. It has been impressive goalkeeping by him. Okay, Charlie, second clip.
Let's stick with Greg Gard as he discusses navigating the NIL.
Jinxed him! Oh, my God!
Sparky, that's awful, man.
Oh, my God.
Plead the Fifth Friday, Steve Sparky Pfeiffer out there for calling it out. That's awful.
I just ruined the whole country. Oh, my God. Oh.
England is not going to be happy with you. I'm gonna post this part out just so that England fans can see what you've done, Sparky. If they end up losing this game,
I cannot believe I just said that. Oh, what am I doing? I can't continue. I need to go home. I'm gonna throw up. How did I literally said it. The next kick, the dude scores a goal on England. Oh, God. That's 1-1 at the 85-minute mark.
That was just a great shot, too. Well, let's keep hearing from Greg Gard as Sparky keeps writhing in pain over there. This is Greg Gard discussing the NIL era and how he's been navigating it.
No, it's fun. You know, I think you learn to adapt and adjust. And this is part of it. Right? It's the landscape has changed, and it's not going back to how it was. So you have to be able to adapt and implement different strategies, how we practice, how we're still tethered to some of the things of years gone by. But I think the more you can be flexible but yet stay true to your foundation, we've been able to do a really good job of it. And that's credit to my staff. They've been terrific in terms of how they've all taken different roles, and roles have shifted and changed, and they've stayed flexible, which has allowed me to be flexible. And I walk in here every day expecting to see something new, and I usually do. So that makes it fun. And the guys are still, I get asked all the time about the portal, how has the change? You know what? The kids haven't changed. The really good ones want to be coached, and they want to be told the truth. And those are the ones that have great success at our place anyway. We need people that want to be held accountable and appreciate being honest with them, and then they just take that and run with it. So, and this group is no different. We have really good people that'll happen to be really good basketball players, and now we got to get it all to come together. The pieces, as you've seen, are pretty good. The puzzle's still scattered on the table. We got to get that puzzle to come together over the next few months.
It feels like when you hear these guys talk that were watching practice yesterday, and you hear some of the players talk as well, it feels like they think that they're going to be far more physical of a basketball team this year, and maybe even a better defensive basketball team this year than they were last year. And this point guard, Owen Foxwell, sounds like he is legit, the real deal, coming from Australia, and is going to potentially be the straw that stirs the drink here as far as setting dudes up. You heard about it. He was doing it in yesterday. They think you're going to have more opportunities for the bigs on this team to get more easy baskets with Foxwell running the point guard position. Foxwell himself talked about, it being a defensive team and a fun team to come watch and play. There's a lot of good things that you hear coming out of Madison after yesterday.
You got to be excited about it. And Greg Gard, again, just always seems like he's so ready to get these guys in the house and ready to work. We talked about the Bucks and Taylor Jenkins, the way that he went about the draft process, Braden Burries and Nate Heyman, telling them what they do wrong and making sure that they're ready to work on that. And they both seemed excited about that. It's another coach that understands that. Last up here, I'm going to go away from the Wisconsin Badgers, and we're going to head on over to Bussin' with the Boys, where Bears tight end Colston Loveland was discussing the Bears-Packers rivalry.
Bears and the Packers, they have like the biggest rivalry in the NFL, and Michigan Ohio State is the biggest rivalry in sports. Are those two comparable rivalries to you when you look at them?
Yeah, for sure. As far as like in the building, what are you doing to beat Ohio State every day? That was where it was in Michigan, every TV, everything. That's how it is. And at the Bears, everyone's only talking about the Packers. Owners, it's just you can't go a day without talking about them, talk about beating them, talk about the bad things. So it's very comparable.
And the Packers don't talk about the Bears at all.
Not at all. They don't think about them
weeks
one bit.
Without even bringing up Chicago or the Bears. But like Loveland said, the owners hate them. And that is why it permeates throughout that facility, regardless of who the coach is or who the players are on that team. As long as the McCaskey family is involved with that organization, it is going to be front and center, the most important thing in their life, period.
Like Peter Bukowski of Locked On Packers mentioned earlier in the week, I think you do have to have some animosity towards the Bears starting up here. As a team that's starting to rise in the NFC North, I think you have to have animosity for all three of those other opposing teams and make sure that you hate them a little bit. Yes, you don't have to hate them to the level that the Bears hate you, but you got to hate them a little bit.
Yeah, we'll see. I just don't think with Matt LaFleur you're ever going to see that. The Minions really wanted to impress their new big boss, Wendy, so they cooked up some fun chaos for the fans. Say hello to the Minions and Monsters meal, featuring one of 4 unique collectibles. New banana frosty swirl, your choice of a big bacon classic or a spicy chicken sandwich, plus a small fry. It's time to go bananas over this exclusive Wendy's experience, limited time only. Are you on LinkedIn? I think we've talked about this.
I am on LinkedIn.
You are on LinkedIn?
Mm-hmm.
You ever get those job recommendations for you?
Yeah.
I got one in the commercial break. Top job picks for you.
Uh-huh.
Special agent for the FBI.
No shot, dude.
What do you mean?
You are not
That's
FBI.
what it says, man.
The
title of the email says you may be a fit for Federal Bureau of Investigation special agent role.
I think you should apply.
That's what it says.
I think you should apply and see what they say.
Dude, I don't want to go work for the FBI.
Well, you don't have to work for them. You can say no.
Do it as like a radio bit and see how far I get.
Yeah,
in the
that's what I'm saying.
Application process.
Yeah, exactly. And then, like, if they say yes for some reason, then you can be like, I'm the guy who turned down the FBI. How about that?
No,
wouldn't that be cool?
I don't think I want to mess around with the FBI and play a prank on the FBI. I don't think that's good for anybody
involved. Prank, just a test.
And now they're losing.
Wow, this is all your fault.
Unbelievable. Argentina is now up 2-1.
That's awful, Sparky.
Yeah, 9 minutes of extra time. He just scored that at the 91-30 mark or whatever. And neither goal was Messi. Neither one. Neither one.
This is all your fault.
It's all my fault.
That's crazy.
1,000% all my fault. I screwed England. Completely screwed England. John Heyman's watching this. So John Heyman, MLB Network Insider, is going to join us at 4:20. Because he's like, I'd come on as long as it's after the World Cup match. And I was like, well, England's going to win. Argentina hasn't had a good full game yet. Argentina's going to lose this one. And they were until I said something about how great the goalie was for England. And then
immediately
2 goals. 2 goals within like 20 minutes. Unbelievable. All right, coming up next, Green and Gold update time. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky with you.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
And it's time again, hour number 3. We broadcast live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. I do not understand why this World Cup match is still going on.
I will never understand.
It was 9 minutes, and we are over 100 minutes right now, and we are still playing this thing.
I don't think I ever understand it. People have tried to explain it to me, and every time they try to explain it to me, they're like, well, it just kind of is what it is. They just kind of figure it out as they go. That's not an explanation. This is dumb. Have a set time. I need set time.
I feel like this should be done already. But either way, England's going to get another crack at this thing, it looks like, which...
Oh, what's...
they must have called something on England.
On England, yeah.
England was down there. The goalie for Argentina came out to come up to try and stop, and the ball was loose. They must have called a penalty. Obviously, we don't have sound on here, so I have no idea. But that must have been on Argentina. Well, Argentina is
on England.
Argentina should never be in this position, but it's all my fault. I'll take blame. Yeah. Whatever. It's fine. Coming up at 4:20, John Heyman, MLB Network Insider. We'll talk about the Brewers-Astros trade from earlier today. If you're just getting off work, you didn't hear about the trade. The Brewers acquire a couple of different pitchers from the Houston Astros today, one of which, Lance McCullers Jr., who obviously many of you know who he is, but he's been absolutely destroyed by injuries for the last couple of years and hasn't played all that much. He actually is on a rehab outing now, hasn't pitched since May. So the Brewers will probably send him to Nashville or something for a rehab outing. Maybe then you see him in the rotation for the Brewers. They also get left-handed pitcher Colton Gordon, who's had a couple of coffees in the big leagues for the Astros last year and this year. It's been home run derby on Gordon when he has pitched in the big leagues. His AAA numbers last 3 years are actually pretty good. So we'll see. As we had a guest on earlier, Patrick Creighton from Sports Radio 610 in Houston, his comment was, we'll see if he's more than a 4A player. So I guess that's what the Brewers will find out as well. They get cash considerations to help pay down Lance McCullers Jr.'s $7 million remaining on his contract for this year. And the Houston Astros get Jaden Fielder, Prince Fielder's son, leaves the Brewers organization, and now he will become a member of the Houston Astros organization. So that is the update on that. We'll get more thoughts on that deal from John Heyman and what else you may be hearing around the National League as the rumor mill is flowing here, as we're only a couple of weeks now from that MLB trade deadline at the beginning of August. It is 4:00. Let's do this.
It's time for your green and gold update on Wisconsin Sports Daily, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer.
All right, so the last 2 days we've talked about Jordan Love and that dumb top 10 list and so forth. ESPN now today puts out a top list for wide receivers.
Before you keep going, can I point out another dumb thing that happened with Jordan Love? The expected Madden ratings leaked, and Caleb Williams is 90 overall, and Jordan Love is not on the list.
So that means he's less than that?
Yeah, because the lowest player in the top 10 was a 90 too. So they had 5 guys tied with 90. Caleb Williams was one of them. He's a cover athlete, so I think they gave him a little boost on that.
Sure.
That's part of the reason, but Jordan Love should probably be a higher overall than Caleb Williams. Yeah.
Again, I don't know what motivates Jordan Love or how he goes. But if he's anything like Kobe and Michael and all this nonsense here, this is going to just continue to stoke the inner flame and just let this continue to drive you and push you to be even greater than you were last year. And last year, again, top 7 quarterback. So anyways, this wide receiver rankings are out on ESPN. Now, again, the same stupid survey that Jeremy Fowler and some of these other executives he did with wide receivers too. So, number 1 wide receiver, Jamar Chase. Fine. No argument. Justin Jefferson, number 2. Okay. Jackson Smith and Jigba from the Super Bowl champion Seahawks, 3. Fine. Puka Nacua for the Rams at 4. Amon St. Brown at 5 for the Lions. This is where, to me, I start having mixed feelings after pretty much
he's a
Puka
Lions
Nacua.
player?
No, I think you could start having conversations about who belongs where now.
Okay.
I don't think it's debatable top 4.
Okay.
But I think from 5 down, now we can start talking about, is St. Brown 5? Is he 8? Is somebody else 5? Is somebody else 10? Like, you could have our conversation.
I get you.
I'm on St. Brown 5. CD Lamb 6. Like right there. You could have that conversation, right? George Pickens 7. Nico Collins 8. AJ Brown with the Patriots now 9. Devontae Adams 10. On here, he writes highest ranking and lowest ranking.
Okay.
Somebody didn't even have Devontae Adams ranked.
It's like, is this an expected list or just as is? Like right now, because Devontae Adams was a top 5, top 6 wide receiver in football last season.
Going into this year, however, they marked him on their little ballots.
And that feels so strange.
Highest ranking for Devontae Adams on a ballot was 6.
Yeah, that's about where I would, if you're basing this going into the season based off his performance from last year, not expected performance. Yeah. I have him about 6.
AJ Brown, highest ranking was 6. Lowest ranking, he was unranked.
He, based on his performance from last season, yeah, probably should be.
Nico Collins, highest ranking 3. Lowest ranking, unranked.
I could see that, but when he was healthy, he played really well. He just hasn't been healthy the last couple
I'm just saying, we're talking about top 10 guys, and they're all have been unranked on somebody's ballot. Highest ranking 5 for George Pickens. Lowest ranking, unranked. CD Lamb, highest ranking 3. Somebody didn't even rank CD Lamb.
Crazy. That one's egregious.
Amon St. Brown, highest ranking 2. Lowest ranking, unranked.
That's egregious too. CeeDee Lamb and Amon St. Brown have been consistently 2 of the best wide receivers in football. You can argue which one's better than the other, but they shouldn't ever be unranked in
Puka Nacua, highest ranking 3, lowest ranking unranked.
That's awful. I don't care what you think of Puka Nacua off the field, especially this past offseason, because that's the only way that affects anything. He's been one of the best wide receivers in football.
Jackson Smith and Jigba, highest ranking 1, lowest ranking 7. He's at 3. Justin Jefferson, highest ranking 1, lowest ranking 5. He's at 2. Jamar Chase, highest ranking 1, lowest ranking 3. He's number 1.
I can get down with.
So when I said literally at 5, I think you could have a debate. Apparently, you could have the debate at 4, considering people didn't have Nacua ranked.
Yeah, that's nuts.
So Pickens is 7, Collins is 8, AJ Brown is 9, Devontae Adams is 10. No Christian Watson. Now, did I think Christian Watson would make the top 10? No. But I did think his name would be somewhere in honorable mention or whatever. Honorable mention, Malik Neighbors. He's pretty good. Mike Evans, now with the Niners. One NFC scout said, he's declining, but he's sort of timeless. Still big and athletic and gets open. Will be interesting to see how Kyle Shanahan utilizes him in different ways. Zay Flowers of the Ravens. Tyreek Hill doesn't even have a team. Drake London. Jamison Williams of the Lions. Now we have also receiving votes. These don't have comments. Alec Pierce, who just got paid a ton of money and shouldn't have. T. Higgins, DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, Garrett Wilson, Devontae Smith, Ladd McConkey, Brian Thomas Jr., Jalen Waddle, and Chris Olave. All got votes.
Is that in a certain
Watson.
order? Is that like in the order that they got their votes?
It just says also receiving votes. I don't know.
Because that's a really weird order to put it. Like Chris Olave deserves to be higher than Ladd McConkey, first of all. Like there's a lot of guys in that list that I would rather have in the honorable mentions than some other guys that were in the honorable mentions. This is such a strange list.
Again, you claim they're the same idiots he asked for all the other positions. This just justifies how stupid the quarterback list is after you read the wide receiver list. And seeing some of these guys don't even get votes at wide receiver. That's why I say, who did you talk to? That I seriously want to know. Who did you talk to? Because I'm going to question everything about that person's intelligence level based on these lists. Do you think Christian Watson should be viewed as a top 20 wide receiver in the NFL? Because apparently he's not around the NFL viewed as a top 20 wide receiver. Absolute insanity. Nicolay Law Talk and text line 414-677-1250. 414-677-1250 on the socials at WI Sports Radio. Man, you are not going to convince me that dude does not belong in front of some of these cats. There is no chance. Ladd McConkey? No. No. Brian Thomas Jr., he didn't have that big year. He was disappearing at times last year. So that ain't the dude. Jalen Waddle is nice. Olave is nice. Devontae Smith, nice. Garrett Wilson, okay. Terry McLaurin, yeah. Metcalf can have a big game here and there, sure. T. Higgins, Alec Pierce, way overpaid. Jameson Williams. I mean, you seriously, and Drake London, Zay Flowers, Mike Evans, like literally, I'm not going to take Watson over Malik Neighbors, okay? I'm not stupid. So I'll give you Malik Neighbors over that. Everybody else, Evans, Flowers, London, Jameson Williams, Pierce, Higgins, Metcalf, McLaurin, Gary Wilson, Devontae Smith, McConkey, Thomas Jr., Waddle, and Olave. I think you could argue Christian Watson should be ahead of or with that group of players.
I don't agree with Vlad McConkey for sure on this list. The rest of those guys, as much as I think you're right, I also think all those guys could argue to be better than Christian Watson. Christian Watson has not played a full season in a long time, if ever.
Never.
He hasn't been able to get over 1,000 yards in his career. We know he's uber talented, but he's had his moments earlier on in his career where he was dropping balls, where there was just times where he didn't look like he was completely locked in. Very recently, this past season, second half of the year, he was really awesome for this Packers team. And I also think we can't have that recency bias and say, oh, yeah, he's for sure locked in because the Packers paid him, because he did finish the season strong. He still needs to play an entire season. He still needs to get over that 1,000-yard mark. I would hope that he gets over 7 touchdowns in that 1,000-yard mark. Like, he needs to have that full-on breakout season for me to say, to justify that he's a top 20 wide receiver. And that's why I don't think Ladd McConkey is in that group, because he hasn't done that either. The rest of those guys, I think, have justified their spot as a top 20 wide receiver at least once in their career so far, at least recently in the past 3 years in their career. And I think they all deserve to be in that group. As much as I think Christian Watson is really talented, and I would understand why they'd have him over a Chris Olave or a Garrett Wilson or a Devontae Smith, those guys have done it still too. And those guys deserve the recognition because they've done it.
I really don't understand why there is like zero respect for this Packers offense. That's clear. Jacobs was knocked down on his list. Now that one I kind of get, because Charlie and I talked about during the season last year. He looked a half a step slower than maybe he was before.
And the offensive line wasn't helping either. So
Sure.
It's not 100% his fault that he's falling down his list. Yeah.
But either way, I mean, that one I can kind of justify. Like, okay, I'm not going to be completely, green and gold glasses on or whatever, but I kind of get that one. Christian Watson not being on this list at all. I don't even think he has to be in the top 10, but surely he's top 20. Surely he's top 20 in this league if you watch this dude play. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. The Jordan Love one, we've talked about that for a couple days. Obviously, nobody's going to agree with that around here either. You lose, in my mind, as a Packer fan, you lose all credibility with your survey with how some of these are done. When I go through and start talking about some of these prominent receivers not even being ranked on some of your dudes' ballots that you interviewed, that should have been a warning sign of maybe I should talk to somebody else for my poll.
Or maybe Packers fans shouldn't put too much credence into these lists. I think that's more what it says. Not that these guys are wrong, but the way the Packers have run their offense, the way that the Packers have run their system, it's never been about one guy just being the main star. It's been about a lot of guys leading to a successful offensive game plan. So if you want them to be on this list, then Sparky, you have to want them to start throwing the ball more this season. You have to want them to start trying to get bigger plays and have these guys get that recognition nationally via social media, via big stat lines. And that's how you're going to get there.
You figured out a way to force your agenda on me, didn't you? You figured out that way of I'm going to stick it to Sparky and go right back to that well that he's been fishing in this whole time about it's got to throw the ball more. It's got to throw the ball more. It's got to throw the ball more. Yeah, I guess. Maybe that's the answer of how to get him more respect around the National Football League. Maybe that's how he gets more respect for his wide receivers around the National Football League, is you just got to wing it more. I think the other part of it, if we're being honest, is because they gave Caleb Williams all kinds of credit for this, is having big throws and big moments at end of game situations that people are going to be talking about for the next however many years. I think that's something else that he probably is lacking right now. are those big moments at end of games. And that's something Rodgers was lacking early in his career as well.
And then Rodgers decided that those big moments, he needed to just do his thing and be able to take over a game. And again, I keep saying Jordan Love, I think, needs to take that kind of mindset, at least in some of these moments. He doesn't have to go full Rodgers, but he needs to learn when he needs to take over and when he can do it, because we've seen him be able to do it.
Let's go to Johnny, north side of Milwaukee. You're next on Wisconsin Sports Daily. Do you think Christian Watson should be viewed as a top 20 wide receiver in the NFL?
Ooh, that's a tough one. So I said I'm going to put on my non-Packer goggles so I'm not being biased. And I'm going to have to say them last like 6 are all interchangeable almost. So it's like Charlie said, that you can make an argument for and against all of them. I mean, you guys are, saying, and I'm basing some of this off of betting at Paddle, like what the lines be saying on some of their catches. And Christian Watson's is always really low. His is at 2.5. The Vegas say he won't get 3 catches, and sometimes he doesn't get it.
Yep.
To be an argument of number one or projected or can be number one, your catches can't be at 2.5 ever. Vegas will never get that line. So based on that, I'm a big time Packer fan that I bet on Christian Watson and seen him not get it, and based on the fact that guys like Lad McConkey, he's being like 6 sometimes. These guys catches be high. The other guys you're missing, even James Williamson, he's being 4 or 5 a lot. I'm going to have to say Christian Watson. I'm going to lean toward no. He probably is not. He probably is not. And I'm saying it's totally based that he definitely can and should be. He's definitely going to get there. Maybe this year, maybe him and Romeo Dobbs was bumping heads and one of them had to go. I don't know. Maybe he needs more targets. I do got a big problem with Christian Watson and these drops that he has. He still does that. It shows his ugly head from time to time, and he drops the ball from time to time. But we see the big plays are there. The speed is there. The potential is there. So I would like him to easily jump into that top, that 12 area. In there, he has that at the snap potential. But that, like I said, them last 6, you can make an argument for or against any of them. That's all I wanted to say.
Very good. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it as always, Johnny. So really when it comes down to what he was talking about is targets and the consistency of targets and catches for Christian Watson. That's his thing where he's like, hey, man, you got over under on 3 catches in a game. He doesn't even get it or whatever the case may be. So I went back and let's look at Christian Watson's game log. Okay. Christian Watson, beginning of the year, first game, 7 targets against the Bears. Oh, no, that was a playoff game. Check that. Go back. Let's see. So he didn't start off the year because he was hurt. So that obviously hurts. October 26th, 4 targets. November 2nd, 4 targets. November 10th, 4 targets. Wait a second. Yeah, I was right. November 10th, 4 targets. November 16th, 5 targets. November 23rd, 7. November 27th, 10 targets. Only 4 catches, but 10 targets. Then 4 targets, 5 targets, 6, 6, and 7 targets to end the year. That's not enough. If we're talking about how many targets you want your guy to have at the end of the day, that is not enough. And let's just take somebody else here and look at what the targets are.
So Devontae Smith last season, a guy in that range that we're talking about with Christian Watson, he had 3 targets against Dallas in week 1. Then it went up to 6, 9, back down to 2, then up to 10, 5, 11, 9, 7, 5, 11, 8, 8, 2, 8, 5, 4.
2.
So
did you say 2 in one game?
And that was against Las Vegas, but they won 31-0 against Las Vegas. So they ended up killing them. They probably didn't throw the ball at all in the second half.
Yeah, that's wild. So now I called up Devontae Adams to look at Devontae Adams targets. You ready for this?
Let's hear it.
Now, Devontae Adams is not the only guy on that team, right?
Puka Nacua, yeah.
Right. So he's literally their 2. 8 targets, 13 targets, 8 targets, 6, 11 targets, 9 targets, 8 targets, 7, 8, 8, 8, 5, 6, 9, 13, 6, and 6 to end the playoffs stretch.
If
And Christian Watson doesn't have anything close to that, and he's their number 2 receiver.
If you wanted to look at a player that had a similar length of season last year to Christian Watson that's in this group, Mike Evans, when he came back from injury around the same time that Christian Watson did, 8 targets, 11 targets, 8 targets, 4 targets, 12 targets, 9 targets, 7 targets, 2 targets in the last game of the season.
Absolutely crazy. Coming up next, John Heyman, MLB Network Insider. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios. Don't forget, listen up, late night cravings. Eat great, even late, because Wendy's is now open till midnight or later. You know you want that irresistible, juicy Baconator, loaded with 6 strips of oven-cooked bacon. Get yourself to Wendy's tonight before those midnight cravings become a full-blown hungry nightmare. Hours may vary by location. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, part of the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily. See Sparky Fiver with you. Charlie Usen producing today's show. Wisconsin Sports Wrap-Up comes up at 5 o'clock. Get you the best of the day from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Thanks to Patrick Creighton from Sports Radio 610 in Houston for joining us in the 3 o'clock hour. Did not leave me very excited by what the Brewers got in this trade earlier with the Houston Astros. Joining us now, we'll see what kind of light he can shed on this, is John Heyman, MLB Network Insider. Follow him on X at John Heyman on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that is all. John Heyman, before we get to the Brewers, you never texted me back, and I need to know, who were you rooting for, England or Argentina?
Well, I was going with Argentina. I don't know if you know this, Sparky, but Messi and I are very, very close. Not many people know that. He and my daughter, his sons and my daughter went to the same school. I'm only kidding that we're close. I've actually never met him, but I will tell you that the kids spotted him in the car line picking up his boys a number of times.
That's
so
wild.
I got to say, he's a good father. He was in the car line waiting patiently to pick up his boys at the school. So it's pretty good.
Car lines suck. I hate car lines. I will take full credit for why they won. You see him, you're like, hey, my guy in Milwaukee helped you win that match. I swear to you, John Heyman, I'm pretty sure Charlie's going to put the video up at some point. I literally am on the radio going, boy, this England goalie is unbelievable. John Pickford, we're talking about, is unbelievable. The next time a kick was made was within less than 30 seconds, tie game at 1. Immediately after I said, what a great job by the England goalie. Literally.
Well, I actually think Argentina just played great. I mean, he didn't have any real mess up that I saw. Of course, I'm not a soccer expert, so take whatever I say with a grain of salt. But I don't think that guy blew it. Argentina played them. They really did. They're good. They're really they're the champs. So they've got a good shot at this. But Spain's pretty good too. I mean, they beat France. Pretty impressive.
Superstitions. That's what they talk about in baseball. You can ask my producer. I jinx literally everything. Literally everything. If I praise you, you're about to have something bad happen to you. It constantly happens. John Heyman, MLB Network Insider, joining us here on Wisconsin Sports Daily. All right, let's talk about this Brewers trade. So the Brewers get a couple pitchers back. Obviously, the one is a guy in Lance McCullers Jr., who was good a couple of years ago, but simply has not been able to stay healthy, is in the middle of a rehab assignment, hasn't pitched since May. And as part of this deal, it sounds like the Astros are going to pay some of this down. Now, I haven't seen how much of it. It just says cash in the press release. And then the Brewers get left-handed pitcher Colton Gordon, and they give up Prince Fielder's kid, Jaden Fielder, in this trade. What are your thoughts, John Heyman?
Well, I would just say, if I'm a team, I'm afraid to deal with the Brewers because they are so good. I mean, let's face it. I mean, they took Kyle Harrison, who, people were all down on, kept getting traded. The Boston's pretty good on pitching. I mean, look at their pitching. They know pitching if they know anything. They traded him, goes to the Brewers, now a winner. So, I think there's a new Tampa. Teams should not trade with. So maybe Lance McCullers will suddenly become healthy and pitch like he used to pitch when he was back when he was the ace or near ace of very fine Astros teams. It's at this point it's depth, but the guy obviously has it in him at some level if he's healthy enough. So worth taking a flyer.
This man underwent Tommy John surgery on his right elbow in November of 18, missed all of 19. Then he underwent right flexor tendon surgery in June of 23 and missed all of that season and all of 24. Was on the injured list like 5 times last year for the Astros. If this man is healthy and gets back to the way he's pitching, there's going to be an investigation. What the hell is going on in Milwaukee if they're able to keep him healthy and get him back to where he was? Is this the year Matt Arnold gets to make that big move? Because if you look at David Stearns, he made the Yelich move and dealt a bunch of prospects. Obviously, Melvin made the Greinke move, the Sabathia move. We've seen it. Matt Arnold has not had that move yet.
Yeah, I didn't think so. I'm not going to rule it out. Several weeks ago, I was looking at it and talking to different people, and I got the impression that really wasn't in the cards. At least Skubal was not going to be in the cards to trade for a rental, your smallest market. They did it with Sabathia. It paid off. They got some credibility. They got in the playoffs. Very exciting. They did a nice job. Sabathia is like a legend there, even though he was only there for a few months. That worked out. But I think that they have a plan and they generally stick to it now. Now they've got some pitching concerns with Harrison and with Woody, and things change. Things change in this deadline, so it's difficult with 18 or so days to go. 19 days, I think it's difficult to say for certain, but I don't think that was the original thought or plan or likelihood, at least on Skubal. Maybe on somebody with more years to go, but I don't think the plan. Now things change.
Okay, with years to go, Joe Ryan is the guy that I want them to go get. He's got a year left on his deal. Is that a name possibly that could be moved by the Twins here?
Well, I'm not going to rule it out, but the new owner, the brother of the old owner, was upset that the old owner, his brother, traded 11 pieces, and none of them were Joe Ryan. Now, Louis Varland has turned out to be an all-star closer, the best in the American League for Toronto. That is a loss for them, but they traded 11 guys, and the new owner didn't like it. And right now they're only one game under in Minnesota. So they're going to have to fall a little bit further, I think. From what I'm hearing, they're debating, conflicted, and whatever you want to call it. They did pick up a reliever. I think they're going to give themselves some more time to see where they stand. If they fall to 5 games under, I think they're a seller. If they do not, if they hang around in the American League, a 500 team is really either in the playoffs or right on the border. I'm not sure that they sell. More likely they would sell Jeffers, who's a free agent, the catcher, who's a very good hitter. But Ryan does have another year to go, and it does seem like I don't want to say long shot, but not that likely that he gets traded.
In the NL, we know the Dodgers will buy. We know the Braves will buy. We know Philadelphia is going to buy. What about the other two teams chasing behind the Brewers, the Cardinals and the Cubs?
Well, the Cubs are going to buy. There's no question about it. They've had a number of pitching injuries, as have many other teams, but they've been pretty decimated, and they definitely need multiple starters, I would say, at this point. And probably they like some relief. They're trying to get over that hump. They haven't been able to beat the Brewers in a couple of years. So I think they'd like to win that division. Even if they win the division, they'll guarantee they get the bye anyway. But if they can somehow catch the Brewers, there's a good chance that they would, a decent chance they would get that bye. I think they're a definite buyer. St. Louis, I think we all expect them to be a seller. I'm not so sure right now. I mean, they're looking okay. So I'd say they either sell or do very light buying. But I think there is still a chance that they would sell. They don't have a ton of free agents, veteran players, so they don't have that much going on there to sell.
It appears starting pitching, John Heyman, is going to be have some quantity there where if people need starting pitching, they'll be able to go get a starting pitcher if they want a starting pitcher. The Brewers, I think all Brewer fans will argue, could really use a thumper of a bat somewhere in this lineup to help out. Obviously, the obvious choice is third base, but I don't think that person exists right now. What kind of bats are going to be out there regardless of position that teams can go get?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, you hear that the Giants are willing to trade just about anybody who's a veteran other than Logan Webb and Jung-Hoo Lee. So allegedly they're willing to trade Chapman. Now I'm hearing that they're not that likely to trade him. He is a third baseman, but again, he's got a big salary. That doesn't seem like a Brewer move.
Right.
Rise is really improved defensively and does not want to move from second base. So that is a tough one. I mean, if you can convince him to go to third, I don't know. But he will be out there and he will be traded. It is a big seller's market. If you've got anybody good to sell, you're going to get quite a bit for him. I mean, Taylor Ward, potentially from the Orioles. They're not a definite seller yet, but possibly. People have looked at Contreras from the Red Sox. I don't think they're a seller at this point. They're one of the hotter teams in the American League, which obviously is not a very good league. You just got to be 500 to really have a shot there. So, at this point, you've got, like 11 teams within 3.5 games in the National League of a playoff spot, and 11 in the American League within 4 games of a playoff spot, something like that. So it is an abject extreme seller's market, meaning the prices are going to be extremely high. There aren't a ton of guys out there. The Giants have a way overpriced guys other than a rise in Robbie Ray or free agents after the year. I mean, if Oakland's a seller, I'm not sure what they would sell. The Angels have a couple of pitchers. Would they trade Soler? Maybe. Would they trade Adele? Maybe.
What about the Padres, John? What about the Padres?
Yeah, I mean, they're in the middle. They could go either way. I don't see what bats anybody wants from them. They're all pretty cold right now. I think they're more likely to buy or be creative, buy and sell. If they, could they trade Miller and even stay in it? Maybe they would do that if they could get 2 starters and a bat for them. But I don't know what bat you're going to get from the Brewers offhand. Really, I mean, they got very high priced guys who are struggling. They spend a lot of money, so they're not, and they've got guys who are on long deals. So I'm not sure. I guess Sheets. There's a couple guys you could look at potentially, but not seeing them as a big seller that's going to help out the Brewers.
So let me ask you this: what about Mason Miller? That's a long-term contract too, and I've seen speculation and rumbling that they could move Mason Miller for a haul.
Well, they could, and maybe they could for because they need to get 2 starters at least, and they need bats. So maybe they do try to staying in it. They could consider trading him, and they're willing to consider anything. So, if they fall out of it, I definitely could see it. If they stay in it, I wouldn't rule it out. So maybe they would consider trading Mason Miller for the right price. They're movers and shakers. They do a lot of stuff, and right now they're around 500, which isn't quite good enough in the National League, but they don't like to give up. They have a new owner, aggressive GM, so I think I would find it hard to believe that they're just a seller and that's it. And even if they were, other than Miller, what do they sell? I'm not sure.
He is John Heyman, MLB Network Insider. Follow him on X at John Heyman. John, thank you so much for coming on, man. I appreciate you.
All right, Sparky. Good talking to you.
You bet you. Take care. There he is, John Heyman on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call. That's all. He made me laugh and smile when he was like, well, maybe they'll get McCullers to actually be healthy and get him McCullers back to where he was. I'm telling you, there will be an investigation of this organization if that dude is healthy the rest of the year and looks like he did 5 years ago. I'm telling you, there's going to be a legit investigation. Like, what is going on over there with these dudes?
I don't know. Instead of investigating, other teams should figure it out. That's their fault.
People want the Pope to lay hands on them. People are going to want Chris Hook to lay hands on them if they're a pitcher, if McCullers is healthy the rest of the year.
100%. But we haven't really seen him be able to do it with guys that are this deep in their career. We've really only seen it with young pitchers that still have a little bit of moldability left to them. We'll see what happens. Again, Nestor Cortez, Dallas Keuchel didn't really work out the way we expected them to. Again, Cortez got hurt, so that's a whole different thing, but he wasn't good when he did pitch a couple of times. They were ready to just give up on him right away. So the older pitchers he's struggled a little bit more with. Can you teach old dogs new tricks?
You try to teach me new tricks every day, don't you?
I try. It's a process.
Doesn't go well. No. Habish, and Rotier, they're old dogs, man. They've been around this thing since 1930. Now the dogs changed. New dogs have come, old dogs have gone, but it's still all the same game, right? National reputation, hometown service. That's what it's all about. Habish.com. Helping Wisconsinites for nearly 100 years. Habish attorneys are experienced, approachable, and dedicated, helping clients pursue the compensation that they deserve at the end of the day. And again, it's a law firm built right here in your own backyard. National reputation, sure, they win a lot. Safety laws were created by some of the cases that they won. That's all fine and dandy. But I promise you, none of that probably is going to matter all that much necessarily to you when you are writhing in pain on the side of a road or whatever the case may be when you're involved in a horrible car accident. You're not going to be worrying about safety laws that they created or anything else. all you're going to be worrying about is, man, how do I put my life back together after this life-changing event? And they are life-changing events, having been through one myself. It is a scary thing to be involved in when you start talking about hospital bills, laying in hospitals potentially, doctor bills, trying to figure out what you're going to do for your next mode of transportation. Because again, if your car is crap, you can have insurance on it, but it's not going to matter. You're not going to get much for it if it wasn't any good anyhow. So there's a lot that you go through at that time, and you need experienced people around you and people that you can trust. Habish, and Rotier. National reputation, hometown service. Visit them today to learn more at Habish.com. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Things that Sparky missed, coming up next. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily. Steve Sparky Fiver with you. Don't forget, Wisconsin Sports Radio Network is proudly outfitted by Burghardt Sporting Goods, our official apparel partner. Outfit your team or company with custom apparel today at bsg1881.com. bsg1881.com. And I was just looking at something earlier today with Charlie. Like, we're getting all this new swag with the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network logo on it, all hats and sweatshirts and polos and bags and all of this stuff. We're going to be able to get our hands on and have the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network on. I've been here at this radio station in Milwaukee. Now, not with the network, but at the radio station in Milwaukee, where the network is kind of based out of. I've been here since 2005. We have not had a push like this since 2005 was the last time we had this type of push to get apparel for everybody.
I like it.
I'm pretty excited because we have not seen anything like this. We've had a sales guy will trade out, hey, I got everybody a sweatshirt or whatever, like one thing. This here, though, this looks like it's going to be more.
We're getting dripped out, Sparky. You know that one?
Dripped out.
Yeah,
I've heard what drip means. Yeah.
You're going to be dripped out,
Sparky. I promise you, I will never say that to anybody in my life after we get this.
Hey, you said shove. You used shove in the right context.
Yeah,
so you never know.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll use drip in the right context.
Maybe. Yeah. Let's hope not. Argentina beats England earlier today. My reaction to when I jinxed England. Argentina wins 2-1. So Argentina and Spain. I heard Robbie McElroy earlier today on 9 to noon say that he despises soccer more now than he did before.
Just like I like anything.
Because he didn't really like soccer or know soccer anyhow. So now he's been forcing himself to kind of watch soccer, and now he really dislikes soccer at this point. You, I'm assuming, don't watch a lot of soccer either.
Not typically.
What is your take now on soccer? Because I guarantee you there are a lot of people that are watching soccer for the first or second time in their life and trying to learn what's going on. And some are liking it and watching all these other countries playing, even if it's not the U.S., and are kind of digging the sport.
I've enjoyed watching it. I've tried to watch like half of a game every single day that they've had a game on. So I've been semi-informed throughout all of it. I can see the things that people really love about soccer, the fans, what they really love about soccer. And I can also see what soccer fans hate about FIFA and about the league and everything. Like, it's just starting to get really interesting, all the different controversies that's happened throughout this tournament so far, and the way that FIFA's gone about handling them. Everything just seems so weird. I can see why it's such a weird organization, but I can also see why people are so passionate about the sport, and it's been so much fun to watch.
It is something that I think if you watched a lot, you could make the correlation of how it's kind of other sports and to a certain degree. Like icing in hockey and offsides in soccer and stuff like that.
Fast,
Zone defense versus man. And
formations like in basketball, the different defense.
If you watch it long enough, you can connect the dots of things they do in soccer that you watch in other sports that you watch regularly because you're a fan of. Now, the action, the zero scores and 1-1 and all of that may not be very appealing to you. But there is definitely drama that happens within a course of a soccer match. And then you get rivalries that are going and so forth, kind of like you do in football, where, you're running up and down with each other, right? It's not baseball like, oh, I'm mad. Wait till I see you in 3 innings. I'm going to get you. Like, no, you're on the field together. You don't go. If you're hot down here, you're going to be hot by the time you get down to the other end. Now, maybe there's an elbow or something that happens from that perspective.
And I think people that complain about the lack of scoring, I mean, in baseball, you get a lot of games where you end up having lack of scoring. In football, you have games where you end up with lack of scoring. In hockey, you have games that end up with that lack of scoring. And those fans still appreciate those games because they know that was a great pitching performance, or that was a great defensive output by that team, or that in hockey, the goalie had a phenomenal game, was stopping every shot that was coming. You have those moments that people can appreciate in those sports, appreciate in this sport too.
Did you see Kurt Hoag's tweet from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel?
I did.
Talking last night about he wishes the All-Star game was still played for
Josh
World
and I
Series.
talked about that on the Wisconsin Sports Wake Up Call, yeah.
Home field advantage. The Brewers had one guy playing. No, I don't want that. And when the Brewers are bad, sure, go ahead and knock yourselves out. I don't care. But when the Brewers are good and I've got one dude in the game of Contreras because Miz ain't pitching, no. I will say I liked hearing the pitcher and catcher going back and forth. I enjoyed that. Cease's like, I'm going to throw a curveball in the dirt here. Like, I enjoyed that banter. I watched 2/3 of that All-Star game last night. Way more than I thought I was going to watch, and I enjoyed it. There were some good moments. I liked a lot of the stuff beforehand. Boys to Men sang. I texted Charlie, Boys to Men. Boys to Men, Charlie. They're on right now.
Well, I didn't know what he was talking about first because I was working. I was like, oh, I'm glad I looked up and I saw us.
Well, for Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, part of the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Wisconsin Sports Wrap-Up up next. Have a good night, Wisconsin. Toodles.